I'll just have to roll with it. It's my first video, you know. My wired connection is gone, so I'm just gonna send it. I got the straw hat. It's not totally customized yet, but this was the closest straw hat I had found to the shape of the one, you know, in One Piece, and I was, oh no, I still have the tag on it. Not anymore. I was thinking of being Luffy for Halloween this weekend, and I saw this at work actually, and I was just like, I'm getting it. Too bad. I want to talk about One Piece. Specifically, I want to talk a lot about Vegapunk today because we're finally learning so much more about him, or them, or her. Not quite sure what the deal is there yet, obviously. I was gonna read 1063 again before I really got started. Do that, so I'm just gonna read 1064. I read the scans, but I actually haven't had a chance to read the official translation. So I'm gonna do that first before I get to talking about Vegapunk and Kuma and Bonney and Dragon and like everyone kind of. And you know, the rest of Egghead Island arc all together. Everything kind of coalescing together for sort of the first time. We kind of got that in Wano with like the supernova, the Yonko, Sword, the Marines, CP0, you know, like everyone kind of coming together. But Egghead looks like it's going to take that, boom, up a level, up a notch. Got the cover page, which is just great. It's just great. It's crazy to... I feel like everybody's kind of said everything there is to say about this cover story. It is such a revolutionary one for One Piece, though. This shit, this is truly amazing. You know, seeing Van Augur on the page, knowing as you know, turn the page to the Law of Blackbeard fight, he's there. The Augur is there. Damn, how everything is coalescing. That's what I mean. I'm glad there's a break this week because I think I needed time to digest everything from the first, these first chapters of Egghead. Ha 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 ha! Nice. Re-room. That was our room in the scans, I remember. I thought he stuttered. I thought that was Law getting scared initially in the scans because it was like, room! Like, that's kind of how I read it. But then he did K-room. Who is that? That is Shachi, I believe. Shachi seems to have a little bit of Fishman in him. You know, that looks like Chu's powers from Arlong Park. Damn, who am I even looking at in that panel? I guess that's Doc Q upside down, got it. Van Augur kind of gives me Core Skeet vibes from the rehearsal. Well, tough guard to break. Plus with that little like thing he's added, God, I can't wait to see him get fucked up by Usopp. Something interesting I think we learn in this chapter, he's gotten a few other like minor crewmates, but they kind of felt like, you know, his Namis or his chopper maybe. Not really like the main combatants or the main like force of the Blackbeard pirates, but I feel like these guys are just lackeys, and I feel like that's a huge difference between him and Luffy that we're seeing here. And I feel like, you know, for so long in this series we have focused on how similar they are, but I feel like going into the final saga, Oda is going to turn that on its head and show every reason why Blackbeard is not like Luffy after all. Even though, you know, there's the obvious, he's a villain. Like, yeah, obviously. But I feel like it's going to go deeper than that. I feel like the characters are going to start to ham up the similarities between them, only for someone to be like, no, that maybe Shanks or someone to say like, no, this is ridiculous, they are nothing alike. Luffy delivers finishing blow, boom, he's out. Who knows? Probably not, honestly. That's kind of cheesy. But a lot of people have criticized Jinbei's lack of tact here, and I kind of feel like I disagree. I feel like he's poking her on purpose, lacking that tact, because he knows something's up. You know, it doesn't make sense that he was a tyrannical king, a ruler of some of the structure of the world government, but he's in the revolutionaries. I don't think Jinbei buys that. I think the world government sullied his name. He hated the world government. He would never work for them. They experimented on him by force. Interesting for Bonney to say being turned into a cyborg might as well be a death sentence, considering Frankie is on the crew, and that's the exact opposite. Like, he's a cyborg and he is liberated by it. But maybe that also hints that there's a consequence he doesn't know that will be revealed here in this arc. Hope we're not losing Frankie or something like that. That would be kind of crazy. So obviously I think Kuma is that third race that Big Mom did not have. You know, the Giants, the Lunarians. I think, sorry. Fuck. Giants, Lunarians, and then Kuma race. Let me get into this. I'm not going to go strictly on script because that is expired by now, for lack of a better term. You know, this is all old information as of like 1061, I think, had just come out. So I'm going to talk about Vegapunk here. And I guess we'll start off with, you know, the obvious. He's got his satellites. It seems like Yoke, Atlas. Atlas we've met. Atlas is the big child. Pythagoras we have not met. Edison we have not met. Lilith are getting to know pretty well. And Shaka, who we've kind of met, at least in this mask. Of course, then we've got the main unit too, but I'm wondering, Shaka seems like the focus. I'm wondering if Shaka is going to be the main Vegapunk after all. Maybe that's who Vegapunk fully directed himself into. I think Vegapunk will end up being an old man. Maybe the old man is just like a husk now or something. I have no idea. I have no idea there with the real Vegapunk, and I think we're gonna start getting into some of that. I think they've used these satellites as a way layer to weave the net for the arc story. I don't know. I mean, one thing is clear: the Vegapunks are getting wiped out. Who knows to what degree? This is just based off instinct. I personally see all the Vegapunks getting wiped out by CP0 except Lilith. Because Lilith is the only Vegapunk with like a negative attribute about her. You know, Shaka has logic. That's excellent. That's great to have. Edison has flair. That's, you know, maybe not crucial to Vega, but, well, actually, that's kind of a good point. Maybe these are all of the things about Vegapunk that he finds crucial about himself. These are the 6 core things he has noticed about himself. I could see all of them getting wiped out. You know, you lose Vegapunk's intelligence for the most part with Pythagoras. You lose, and Shaka too. You lose that sort of wisdom and necessity. Wrath is another weird one, actually. Desires I think these are Vegapunk's personality traits, for better or worse, that he himself identified. He split them out. Who knows if the real Vegapunk is even alive anymore. Maybe he had outlived his body and he was able to kind of split his consciousness into these satellites, but not perfectly. He could just do one facet of his personality, and that's what led him to make 6 to bounce off each other. I'm sure we'll learn more about that. I'm very excited to, and framing it with, it seems, the revolutionaries and Dragon in particular is very, very cool. I'm wondering about the rest of Vegapunk's entourage, though, because obviously they're like cop pacifistas here. You know, maybe I'm wrong to assume this, but are they weaker than the pacifistas that were at Marineford? Where are those pacifistas? And where is the, well, actually, no, we know where Kuma is. Kuma is with the revolutionaries right now. That's right. Then what about the Seraphims? They're definitely supposed to be on this island, at least some of them, but I think it was stated all of them are currently housed at Egghead. That's part of Vegapunk's entourage. Obviously, the 6 satellites and Vegapunk himself. That's who CP0 is coming to kill. And then what about Sentomaru? Sentomaru is someone I've been wondering about for a very long time. They are just such a strange character. I know that they're in the Marines now. They're an official Marine finally after the time skip, but I'm sure they still have some sort of relay with Vegapunk. They were the captain of his guard force in the pre-time skip. Sentomaru was also the leader of the Pacifistas. It kind of strikes me that he was more of Vegapunk's warden. Maybe he was keeping Vegapunk on Egghead, being his kind of go-between with the world government and himself, letting him do his experiments, propel the island 500 years into the future, capitalize off of whatever inventions they could, and then militarize the main inventions that they asked for. That was the deal with Kuma, essentially. That's what Bonney said. He was, forced into the warlord system to be the world government's dog, even though he did not like them. So, everyone is worried about Lucci playing a big devastating role in this arc somehow. I think Sentomaru, you remember how strong he was in Sabaody. He's gonna come back tough. He's gonna come back tough. Next, I want to talk about, Kuma. Kuma is the big thing that I was wanting to talk about, and I teased as I was reading the official translation. I think, personally, Egghead is gonna end up being the Sorbet Kingdom. Start at the beginning. Kuma is the king of the Sorbet Kingdom. He is called Kuma the Tyrant because the people apparently hated him. According to Jinbei, they drove him out, and the world government found him to be a criminal so heinous that, it was either be their dog or be thrown and impelled down or hunted for the rest of your life. Something like that. But I think that's just the story. I looked up the definition of tyrant in 1061, and none of them really seemed to fit Kuma or what he was. Obviously, they kind of do according to this world image, but I found the Greek translation of it to be interesting. A tyrant was more of a neutral term. That was a ruler who seized power from the line, essentially. And it made me wonder, is that how Kuma originally got his name? Was that more of a... In my mind, it comes as a term of almost reverence from the people of Sorbet Kingdom. Let's say Kuma is already in the revolutionaries at this point, and he helps liberate this kingdom from an oppressive, maybe Wapple-like leader. And the people love him so much, they name him leader. I personally think that's what happened. He was a revolutionary before he was a king, and that's how he got that name. And then the world government did not like that he had taken... Let's theorize what is a historically pretty important to the world government nation. I don't know if Sorbet Kingdom is necessarily that important to the world government, but even still, if it's involved with the world government at all, they're not really going to let that slide. They're not going to let the Revolutionary Army have a victory like that. Not for very long, at least. That would make Bonney and whoever her mother is natives to the Sorbet Kingdom. I don't know if it's been confirmed yet on these chapters, but I'm pretty sure Bonney has outright stated, Kuma adopted me. We are not blood related, but he is my dad. I think that is the case either way, and it explains the discrepancy with her referring to Kuma as a special people. He belongs to this special race. I do believe that is the third race that Big Mom did not have in her book, the Giants, the Lunarians, and then whatever Kuma is going to prove to be. I do think that this special race of people is going to be tied to other characters we've seen. One will be Blackbeard, perhaps Aokiji, and perhaps M, probably not. M might be something else entirely. Oh, there's one more I'm forgetting, but that's okay because that's a diet. That's an aside anyway. I do think that Kuma got slandered and strong armed into being in the Warlords. Perhaps, I think part of it was probably his duty to the revolutionaries, and in his mind, once he became king, he saw the only acceptable way to leave as king, punch up, like keep punching up in the world government, get as close to the heart of things as he could, so that he could oh my goodness, relay that to the Revolutionary Army. Obviously, that didn't totally work out for him. I think he got swindled in some way. I bet we're gonna see a pretty depressing back flashback about his story, and you know why he got separated from Bonney. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Bonney's mom was killed by the world government. You know, just a guess. They haven't really said much about her yet. They probably had Vegapunk in the world government at this point. I bet he wanted Egghead. He took Egghead and they did something with the citizens there, but I think Vegapunk took that place to kind of become his playground and his workshop for the world government. The sea outside of Egghead was freezing cold, the worst bitter snows that the Straw Hats had ever seen. Even Nami was like, this is insane, I'm freezing my fucking nuts off here, like what is going on? Then they get there to Egghead, and it's fine. It's tropical. It's like you could dress like I'm dressed here. That something there doesn't line up. It was proving to be a winter island. It had people theorizing out the wazoo when 1059 came. So I think that is a hint to this island's truer nature. It is a winter island, as the Sorbet Kingdom was. It was reported to be a very cold island. Maybe black. No, I'm not going down that road. I think that is where Vegapunk and Kuma were able to strike a deal. Something terrible probably happened to the Sorbet Kingdom's people, despite Kuma and the Revolutionary Army's best efforts. I think a lot of them will probably end up dying, potentially at Vegapunk's hands. I could see Vegapunk being a lot more of a willing participant in this exchange before he meets Kuma. Maybe Kuma changes him and makes him see a new light. And that's why he agreed to, you know, do so much for him. Let him go to Sabaody to, you know, spark or paw rather, I guess, the Straw Hats away to safety. Able to go there again as his last directive and set up on the Thousand Sunny and guard it from other pirates who would want to take it or sink it, save it for the Straw Hats when they finally returned. You know, now he's back with the Revolutionary Army. He was downgraded from a human weapon to just being the Celestial Dragon's fucking horse. If Dragon is so close to him, doesn't that mean there might be some initiative that Vegapunk has access to that he can now give to Dragon and say, this will wake Kuma up. I don't think Kuma will ever fully be back to normal. Maybe he will, though, because he and Bonney have to reunite somehow. I'm sorry, they just do. The Kuma Seraphim on the way with CP0 is not gonna cut it, man. That reunion is not gonna cut it. Could Bonney defeat that one? Could be kind of cool. Could be kind of cool, man. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, hey, this is editing me coming in with a quick toss in. First of all, got it done, finally. Still got the scar from last night. It's been a really fun Halloween weekend. Hope everyone has been staying safe this Halloween season. You know, I was just editing the part of the video about Kuma and the Sorbet Kingdom, and I noticed there were inconsistencies, you know. First things first, the Sorbet Kingdom is from the South Blue. But that doesn't crush my theory, because I go on later into the video to talk about how Egghead to me has been drawing some pretty similar parallels to Thriller Bark. And if you'll remember, Thriller Bark obviously being the arc that we meet Kuma for the first time, properly. He was in Jaya a little bit. He's there, we meet him, he fucks Zoro up a little bit. If you remember Thriller Bark, Gecko Moria's island is also from the South Blue. It's an island that he took from there and has now been sailing the Grand Line with. So personally, I don't think it's too out of the question to assume Vegapunk has done something similar with the Sorbet Kingdom. You know, he has moved it to the Grand Line, done it in a way unlike Moria, where the magnetic logs can still direct it toward it, clearly. And I'm not sure, you know, that could still prove to be a false theory. That could still prove to be nothing. But, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like something doesn't fully line up there with this Egghead Island. I will say another contradiction I can't justify is the fact that Bonney said she had been there 20 years ago when she was a kid. That is pretty damning to that piece of evidence, but, you know, I think Bonney's age is still something that's up for debate as well. I don't want to scrabble and hold on to this theory too hard, but with the age fruit, if that's what she has, if that's even the fruit that she has, she might have something else that we got to know pretty well in Wano country, but that's another video. I know the South Blue thing kind of punched a hole in my theory sail, but I'm still not sold against it. I still think Egghead could prove to be the Sorbet Kingdom on some sort of level. Hell, it would be kind of crazy if they split it up for Moria to become a warlord. They gave him part of the Sorbet Kingdom, and that's where the castle is. That is Kuma's castle. That would be pretty crazy, too, to get to introduce ourselves to him in his castle, and us not even know it until the final saga, years later. That could be pretty interesting. There could be some thematic work Oda could do there, too. I will not be surprised if it doesn't end up being that way. I'll put it that way. But I won't be surprised if more hints start to come in that, oh, Egghead, like if they say at any point, oh, Egghead didn't used to be on the Grand Line, it's sold, it's done, like that'll bolster my theory so much. But and then, you know, another thing is when in Reverie arc, when Bonney is there, she's in disguise as her old self. She's like a little old lady. She's as tall as my desk, I think. She was really short, but everyone there is misplacing her as the Queen Dowager of the Sorbet Kingdom. So that kind of suggests the Sorbet Kingdom is still a thing. It could be to what degree, though. I mean, it really is just speculation. Clearly, the Sorbet Kingdom still has some sort of standing. Is the Queen Dowager going to end up being... I've heard a lot of debate about this. I think readily it would make sense for it to be Bonnie's grandmother. Is that her maternal grandmother or paternal? Personally, I'm still gonna ride Bonney and her mother and Connie, you know, whoever this Connie is, the Queen Dowager. They are natives to Sorbet Kingdom. Kuma is, you know, kind of the foreigner in that instance who's come in. He takes control of the kingdom essentially, but it ends up being a good thing. So I'm not sure. Maybe with Moria they give him part of the Sorbet Kingdom. Maybe it was a vast kingdom. I don't know. They gave like the heart of it to Vegapunk because he's got something with cold islands. He loves them, and he wanted it to be found on the Grand Line. Maybe that's why he wanted that. A crucial part of the island you could move that would truly make it part of the Grand Line. A lot of speculation, a lot of stuff I'm really just unfortunately not sure about, but those are kind of my defenses of the inconsistencies I myself was noticing as I was editing. So I just wanted to touch on those really quick. But let's just real quick, I guess, take a look at all the actors that are going to come into play. Obviously, I mentioned CP0 a lot, Lucci, Stussy, and Kaku and Seraphim Kuma.
Serafuma. They're on the way to take down the Vegapunks, kill them all, wipe them all out. Lucci doesn't really seem like he wants to do that, and I honestly think we're gonna see a crazy turn with Lucci. I don't know if he's just gonna be following orders here. I think he started to think a little more critically. I think he's still a fucking villainous bastard who's gonna try to kill the Straw Hats out of personal vendetta, principle, whatever you want to call it. Personally, I could see him facing off against Sentomaru and giving Luffy a chance to escape. He's like, look, I'm not doing this for you necessarily, but don't be dumb. Like, take the opportunity, get off the island because the world government is here, and if you don't go now, they're going to surround the place, and you're never getting out then. I could see something like that going down, and that would be crazy. We could see, you know, Sentomaru's full abilities, and hopefully Lucci wipe them out. I hope. That would be so cool. It would also be cool to get Luffy Lucci of round 2. It would. You know, Vegapunks we went over, Bonney we've kind of well gone over. Straw Hats, of course, that's an obvious. I will say I'm super pumped to see where Frankie goes in this arc. I think he's going to prove to get some huge upgrades. I hope he gets a really sick fight. You know, Senior Pink was pretty great, but I honestly do want to see more. I do want to see more Frankie. I want to see, like, his observation Haki Usopp moment. Or his, you know, Enma slicing the fucking edge of Onigashima off. Like with Zoro. I want to see that kind of moment with him, and I think this arc could give it to us. I don't know. Maybe he'll fight Sentomaru. That would be a cool matchup. That would be pretty crazy. We've also got Caribou. Not much. We haven't heard much about Caribou since we saw him rattle around in the barrel when when the Sunny got picked up by the Vega Force 1. Maybe he's knocked out and still in there. Did he get out somehow? I don't know. We got Navy Base G14, which is supposed to be really close to Egghead, and Helmeppo already wants to go there. You know, we've got hella Navy officers and Sword specifically there. Some new characters, Vice Admiral Dahl, who doesn't seem to be part of Sword. My guess for the time being is that she is Sword adjacent. She won't join Sword and risk her reputation, but in a way, she can do more by claiming ignorance and reprimanding her subordinates instead of outright being in Sword. If Akainu finds out about that, you know, get it, like cutting the limbs off essentially. Maybe there is usefulness there in being, you know, not in Sword. She's not privy to the meetings. Neither is Tashigi, who we caught up with there. Smoker, nowhere to be seen though. Very interesting. I'm sure he'll come up in this arc though. And then Prince Groose, who was actually in the Capone storyline, the cover stories. He captured his third in command, Gotti. Commander Hibari is her name, who is a Kobe fan. You know, her and Helmeppo are clamoring to get the Seraphims, go to Full-Aled Island and rescue Kobe from Blackbeard. Prince Groose is like, no. Essentially, he's just like, no, we're not doing that. But I think them being close to Egghead, they're going to be first responders once the Straw Hats are found out there. They're going to go back up CP0, and I think they're going to become divided. 2 Vice Admirals, Vice Admiral Smoker, Vice Admiral Dahl, Tashigi, Helmeppo, Hibari, Prince Groose, to name a few. Maybe a few others are going to show up. Who knows? Not Kobe, unfortunately. But I think the Marine forces are going to get split into 2 groups. I think one of them are going to keep fighting against the Straw Hats. I think that'll be Dahl, Prince Groose, and honestly, I think it'll be Tashigi. And then you're going to have another group who want to aid the Straw Hats, and maybe in a crazy turn, accompany them on the way to their next adventure. I think that'll be Helmeppo for sure, and I want to break that one down personally a little more. Hibari and Smoker. Helmeppo and Hibari because they want to rescue Kobe so bad. And who better to vouch for how strong the fucking Straw Hats are but Helmeppo? Helmeppo has been in this story longer than Nami. Like, Helmeppo has been here since Romance Dawn. That is crazy. He has been defeated by Luffy, and, well, he was kind of like Luffy's punching bag. Now I think he's been demoted to Zoro's. Like, he's not even good enough for Luffy's, like, fodder. You know, beaten up by them, and he's kind of borne a grudge for them, even though Kobe has felt so grateful for everything Luffy and Zoro did for him. Luffy in particular. Helmeppo's going to set everything aside. I think he wants to rescue Kobe that bad that he is going to set everything aside welcomely and beg the Straw Hats for help. I think maybe he had access to an eternal pose to full lead. Let's just hypothesize. Or maybe not. Maybe they'll find some other way. Maybe that's what Smoker will be there for. But he's going to plead with the Straw Hats with Hibari to go and rescue Kobe. Make that their next priority. It would kind of parallel the stuff that Zoro said about Vivi at the beginning of the arc, in that, you know, we can't just go off and rescue her. She's strong, she's capable. We have to wait until they're calling for the fucking cavalry. That would be interesting because this is Helmeppo calling for the cavalry. Would they go along with it? I hope so. I think that could be a cool adventure. Moving on to Smoker real quick before I dive into something else. He is probably going to be following some of the story threads that people are thinking Lucci will. I think he is going to be the one that has the heart-to-heart with Luffy finally. Maybe they duke it out and Luffy finally beats him. I don't think he got a chance to on Punk Hazard. Alabasta, Smoker was still stronger than him by a long shot. Things got in the way. Same at Logtown. Same every time they meet up. Something gets in the way from their big showdown. Maybe they get that out of the way. And then Smoker is just like, since I saw you in Alabasta, it hasn't been about justice. It's been about seeing who is stronger. And you have proven it. Maybe it'll be something like that. He ends up helping them out. And he says, here's the eternal pose to Full Aled Island. You guys get out of here. Take Helmeppo. Take Hibari as backup. Get out of here. It would be interesting if... Probably not Lucci. I don't think he'll probably kill one satellite and then be like, nah, this isn't my job. I'm going to let you guys do this. To Stussy and the Serafuma and Kaku. Honestly, I'm so excited to see Kaku and Zoro. Even more so than Lucci and Luffy. I'm excited for that rematch because Zoro's not going to let that fucking giraffe get off easy this time. He didn't last time, but he is going to fuck his ass up. I cannot wait. I'm also curious what kind of Seraphims Vegapunks got. You know, so far we've seen a Kuma life-size, or not life-size, adult-sized, life-sized in a way, I guess. Life-size Kuma with CP0. Young Mihawk and young Hancock, who attacked Amazon Lily together and caused the whole chaos that let Blackbeard get away with Kobe, essentially. I'm going to assume we're going to see the other young... Oh, man, dude. We're going to see the other young Seraphims of the Warlords. Some of them, at least. I think there might be a few exceptions. I don't think we'll get young Kuma. Maybe we do, and he fights Bonney, though. We'll definitely get young Jinbei. Jinbei's probably going to get separated from Bonney in his younger form and have to duke it out with his the same age younger form. You know, that would be crazy. That's going to be a cool fight. And his body isn't as trained as it is now. You know, decades of training probably went into his Fishman karate. So even though he knows these moves on principle and his muscles can still follow the action, they're not powerful as they were when he's an adult, fully grown. But this Seraphim is made out of Lunarian Fishman DNA. He's probably going to be so fucking buffed up. That's going to be intense. We'll probably get Seraphim Moria. That'll be interesting. Luffy will probably match up with him. I could see that. Seraphim, who else we got? Hancock and Mihawk will come back, so that's almost all of them. I don't think we'll get Seraphim Blackbeard. I bet whenever they wanted to get his DNA, however the world government does that, I bet he somehow provided a fake, or it's something unique to his blood, like they just couldn't do anything with it. It's spoiled. It went sour. Seraphim Crocodile, I think I could see that. Maybe nah, that's Luffy. Luffy fighting Seraphim Crocodile and Moria. Maybe Doflamingo too. I personally don't think Doflamingo is going to be a Seraphim. I think he had ties too high up. I think he personally knows Eam, honestly. At the very least, he knows one of the Gorosei very well. All of them, probably. But enough to have said, come on, I don't got to do this DNA thing. Like, I'm not a celestial dragon anymore, but I got the same blood. You're really gonna let me give it to commoners, even though they're like big shots? I could see him having gotten away with it that way. What's to say there aren't Seraphims of like Garp and Sengoku and Aokiji and all them? That would be kind of crazy, sure, but you know they have their DNA. That was revealed through Kaido's flashback. They forcibly took his DNA, essentially. Egghead so far has honestly kind of given me Thriller Bark callbacks. A lot of it feels like Thriller Bark in the way that the crew was divided up a little bit. You know, you got like this bulk crew and then this small group of 3, which they do have Bonney, a companion, makes it 4. Maybe there is a Seraphim Kaido, and that's going to be the big Oars type fight that they have this time. Seraphim Kaido is going to be fucking insane if such a thing exists. He is going to be so strong. That would be such an interesting way for him to come back. I did hear one theory. I forget who it was. I've watched a lot of One Piece videos in the last couple days. A lot of driving back and forth. But it might have been Murphy Napier was saying Moria is going to return to Wano. If he's alive, I think Blackbeard might have killed him already. But if Moria's alive, him returning to Wano and stealing Kaido's body. Maybe Big Mom survived. I think that's what we're gearing up for. And I'm not opposed. Her story arc, if that's where it ends at Wano, is unsatisfying. I want to see more from her. But Kaido could be dead. That would be crazy. Or he's on the verge of death. Moria comes in, snatches his shadow. He's already so weak. Moria can kill him. I don't know how. Maybe just sheer. I don't know. But somehow gain Kaido as a zombie slave. And that's how he comes back in the final war. That would probably be held back as an ace card for the final war, and not Egghead in that case is the only thing. Pudding, obviously, being in the Blackbeard Pirate's hands, not good. Not good at all. I love that her third eye is just, like, out and proud. But at best, dude, at best right now, the Heart Pirates are going to sink her and she'll fucking die. Like, it sucks to say. I know she's going to get rescued somehow. Something is going to happen, but I think the Blackbeard Pirates are going to get to use her for exactly what they want to use her for. And they're going to get something out of her third eye powers, being able to read the poneglyphs. Law, I think is I don't think he's a goner. I think he's going to lose his fight and get captured. Probably be locked up with Kobe. Next step for Blackbeard is finding Ochoku. I don't know why. Well, actually, I do have a theory that Captain John's treasure, and it's not my theory, it's a theory I'm subscribing to that I've seen a lot of people saying. Captain John's treasure that Buggy has the map to is going to end up being the last road poneglyph. And, you know, Buggy's not really going to care about it, but it's going to be fucking crazy for everybody else, you know? Like, what? Like, this is the last place we expected it to be. Ochoku and John were, you know, Rock's pirates together. Could be interesting if indeed that is where the last poneglyph is, and maybe Ochoku was someone who knew that. Maybe Captain John, Silver Axe, and Ochoku were like Man, look at those five. Whitebeard and Kaido and Charlotte Linland, the big shots of the Rocks Pirates. And then Cheeky pretending, trying to keep up. I could just see something like that playing out and him being like, those jokers don't even know that I've got the key to like Roger's One Piece and it's one day it's gonna be it before the One Piece is the greatest treasure up for grabs, it's gonna be Captain John's treasure. Because I thought we were gonna get more from Captain John in Thriller Bark. I'm shocked we didn't. I'm not shocked, but it intrigues me. I think he's gonna prove to be more. Okay, yeah. Then last but not least, I want to talk about Vegapunk and the Revolutionaries to cap things off. Because what on earth is going on there? I don't think it's a strictly amicable relationship. I think it's begrudging on Dragon's side. I think Vegapunk probably at this point is more than willing to give the Revolutionaries everything, but I think they are pissed with him for what he did to Kuma. I think Kuma was the go-between. I don't think Vegapunk is a revolutionary or anything. That being said, he knows he's about to die. Shaka. He can feel it. Things are about to change. CP0 is on their way to deal with him. He's going to tell Dragon something. I wanted you to hear me out. Maybe a small story, but honestly, I think, again, not exactly something I arrived to independently or, to my own special credit, but I subscribe fully to the idea that Shaka is about to give the revolutionaries the master code to the Seraphims. And he'll be able to utter a phrase, do something, punch something into some remote Dendenmushi transmitter thing. Order 66, everyone's calling it. The Seraphims are... It'll probably be in the final war that it's revealed they can do that. Maybe an Egghead? Oh! He's gonna know the Straw Hats are on Egghead with Vegapunk. He'll probably do it somehow. I hope it's remote. I hope it's like a remote access thing you can do. He'll tap into one of them and turn them over to where it gives Luffy a chance to run away. He's wreaking havoc against all the Navy instead, and that gives Luffy a chance to get away, and they just chalk it up. Oh, that's weird. That was really annoying of that Seraphim to malfunction like that. Probably say something snarky like, Vegapunk isn't no genius. Even he makes mistakes or something like that. But then in the final war, Dragon and the Revolutionaries coming in. The Navy's probably going to have a huge draft. Get ready. There's going to be a huge draft. And they're going to have numbers beyond numbers. Plus, loyalists who are just excited for the cause, down for the cause, joining up, hearing they're going to drudge up propaganda about this huge pirate war to end all piracy. People are going to join up, think they're fighting the good fight, and then all of a sudden Dragon's just like, execute Order 66. And the Seraphims, who have the strength of like 1,000 men themselves, even just the children. It'd be kind of interesting if that's why they made them children, if they were too powerful as adults. I don't know. Kuma was an adult though, so that doesn't check out. That being the catalyst for the change, all the Seraphims suddenly change sides. They have the Navy's numbers. This fight just got a lot more fair. Revolutionaries and the world government are squaring up. Plus the pirates, can't rule out the pirates. I honestly see Lilith getting away with the Straw Hats and being a carrot type companion who has to, move on from being a Vegapunk and kind of transform into, this. She was this evil satellite of all of Vegapunk's evil condensed into one person. And then realizing, oh, wait, I am my own fully formed person. I'm not just evil, I am these other things. Because she's already proven that so far. She doesn't read as evil whatsoever to me. She's pretty nefarious, and at first, reading her warning words to the Straw Hats when she first picked up the Sunny in her hands, it was like, oh man, is Vegapunk just going to end up being a villain after all? I think the satellites were a really cool touch. I wasn't sure how I felt about them at first. We were all taking our time deciphering what exactly they were. I'm glad none of them ended up being his fucking daughter. You know, maybe they still are, and I'll be eating my words in some time once Oda proves that, oh, I can do that well. I think one is going to get away at least. I could see it being Atlas since she's kind of the cute, like, lovable kid. I think it would be more interesting if it were Lilith. I'm going to wrap things up. I recorded this, and I'm going to cut it up at some point over this weekend, throw it up on YouTube, and yeah, I'll see you guys for more gaming. Hopefully some more Two Broke Pobs streams at some point. Definitely some more Torimori streams very soon. I'll probably stream this weekend or on my next string of days off. But yeah, this is fun. Thanks, guys.